I'm back! Back from the dead, Tony, risen in you like a phoenix from the ashes. Like Lazarus. Yes, Lazarus, love. I'm gonna be rich again! Panlantic are gonna pay me a fortune to see the deal through. We did it, Tony!
Whatever.
It's time for a little soiree with a very exclusive guest list. Come on. We're gonna need some transportation, Tony. We don't have much time. Tony, I've been dying for this party. Just like my guests.
So it seems that the focus of this mission will be on Donald's preparations for his little morgue party that he's going to be throwing after the completion of this mission, and the guest list for that party will be Donald, Avery Carrington, and Ned Burner. So that's what we have going on here, and this whole situation kind of reminds me of parties I used to throw in Sims games back when I would play those games quite often, because, you know, I'd start up a new game and it would be a casual type of thing. I'd try befriending the entire town, and I'd help out little Seymour with his homework, and I'd treat Mrs. Landgrab in the way in which she deserves to be treated, if you know what I mean. And, yeah, it's a pretty standard type of thing, although there's always that one jerk in every Sims game that hates the entire town, so in reverse, the entire town hates them. So, after befriending the entire town, you know, I'd invite everybody on over for a giant party, and everyone would show up, including this jerk character. So when the jerk arrives, I'd go into build mode and enclose the jerk, you know, inside of 4 walls with windows, as a bit of revenge for them making fun of my grilled cheese sandwiches.
Invitations are to die for!
So it's a bit of a shame that the background noise of Sting, Stuart Copeland, and Andy Summers chasing after us, trying to play triplets on our hi-hats, kind of overpowered the dialogue right there in the way of volume, you know, when Donald was talking about Mr. Ned Burner, which, you know, really wasn't anything special. He just had a few comments that were a bit smart-ass-like. Which usually is what you get from Donald when he's, you know, being all funny and stuff. You know, he tends to kind of get like that, especially when his chin is held high, because we've seen Donald down in the dumps, and, well, you know, he really doesn't have all those jokes and stuff. The wordplay business, it's not really in his bag during those moments, but like right now, you know, he's making jokes, cracking a few cold ones open and all that, so yeah, good stuff. And what I especially like about his dialogue back there is that at the end of it, he was kind of dipping into this Maximilian Pegasus sounding voice, which I know that Rockstar didn't direct Donald Love's voice actor to sound like a Yu-Gi-Oh character. It's just that style that they were going after, so... And that's a fantastic Taylor Swift song, by the way, but I just love that voice.
Be sure to get Avery's gamey old remains here before security discovers us. His autopsy is scheduled any time now.
So at this point in the mission, you can potentially have some variation from attempt to attempt of doing this mission because of a few different things. First off, you know, we went after Ned Burner's body first, and Donald had some choice words for the fella. Although you don't necessarily have to go after Ned Burner's body first, you know, you can go after Avery Carrington's body if you want to. And Avery is being transported around in an ambulance around the Cedar Grove area in this attempt at doing the mission. He can also potentially be at the top of the Cochrane Dam being transported around, so even within what we're doing, you know, there can be some variation. But if you go after Avery Carrington's body first, when Donald is following us around, Donald will then have some different dialogue than what he has if you pick up Ned Burner's body. First. So, the interesting part about that dialogue, besides the whole wise-ass remarks that Donald has directed towards Avery, is that Donald, at the end of that dialogue, makes the discovery that Avery is wearing a wig. So, I think that's really awesome stuff, because that's strongly implied in Vice City from Tommy Vercetti, because there are a few missions where, after the cutscene for the mission, Tommy has like this little monologue thing. That happens from time to time, and in a few of those monologues, from what I remember it being at least 2 of those monologues, Tommy will kind of poke fun at Avery's wig that he's wearing, which, you really can't tell that he's wearing a wig, or at least I've never really been able to tell, because the models that these characters have in these 3D era Grand Theft Auto games, you know, they're not that great, they're not that detailed, just due to limitations of the consoles and the hardware and all that. So yeah, it's a bit of a shame there that we just have to kind of go by the word of all of these different fellas, which I guess is just Tommy and now Donald. So yeah, I mean, it's a nice little reference there, a nice little connection going on there, besides the main piece of ass there with Avery. But yeah, anyways, though, so yeah, that's what you have going on. And in order to get into the ambulance, you need to get the paramedic driver out of there. So you could potentially perform a drive-by if you want to. That's not really what I prefer doing, because I don't like damaging the ambulance any more than I have to, which by performing a drive-by, you know, you're putting bullets into the thing, so you know, it could potentially lead to some problems there. If you start crashing and all that, you know, you'll explode the ambulance and explode all over Avery's body. So you know, it's a bit of a shame there if that happens, but you know, just a simple free aim type of thing does the trick. And that completes this mission. So at this point, we now have a phone call.
Tony, Donald here. If the Panatlantic deal is to come to fruition, we're going to need to, how can I put this delicately? Clear a small section of land in Fort Staunton.
Yeah, when you say we, you mean me, right?
No, Tony, you see right through me. Go and see 8-Ball. I'm sure he can provide us with the necessary hardware.
So I'm going to take a wild guess and say that the explosions that will eventually occur in Fort Staunton will have to be even larger explosions than the ones I have when I hear Emma Watson's voice. And, you know, I think it's pretty cool that 8-Ball is making his return to the series in dramatic fashion, I think, because we're pretty far into the game. We're pretty much near the end, so that, I think, amplifies his importance to the story and all that. So he will be assisting in those explosions that'll be occurring in Fort Staunton, so good stuff. And we're going to hold that off for the T mission strand that we will be beginning in the next part by doing the first mission for that mission strand, which is called More Deadly Than the Male. So, until then, I will see you next time.